Good morning. My name is Laura Fiorillo. Welcome to Read Strong. Today I wanted to talk about engagement. Now, last time we talked about engagement for our already established readers, kids in the upper elementary grades. Today I wanted to talk about our new developing readers. So usually children start to read around grades K to 1. Sometimes, it's a little later, maybe in grade 2 or higher. So usually at this time when it starts to first click, kids are super excited because they've been wanting to read for a while. Maybe they've been seeing their friends start to read, and once it starts to click for them, they get super excited, and a lot of them want to get their hands on as many books as they can. Coming as a former first grade teacher of 12 years, when that light bulb goes off and they start to get it and they start to read, they get super excited. So we want to take advantage of this. We want to use this to get them to read as much as possible. So, first thing you want to do when your child is starting to read is you want to find out what level they are reading at. Just as in the upper grades, it's really important to know what books they should be reading. Now, with the end of the school year, a lot of teachers will do some kind of reading assessment to tell you what level your child is reading on. So you want to have them reading books in this range, because what I see a lot of times is parents are having children read books that are too hard for them, or letting them pick books that are too hard for them. And what's going to happen is your child's going to spend so much time trying to figure out what the book is saying, trying to decode words, use their strategies to figure out words, that a lot of times frustration will set in. They'll get to the end of the book and they'll have very little understanding about what's happened, because they've been using all of their effort to try to figure out the words that are in the book. So they're not really understanding the story itself. Also, sometimes kids will just read books that are too easy for them. If they're just flying through the book, they're getting exposed to very little new vocabulary that can help them then to move on to higher levels of books. So you want to make sure that you know the range that your child is reading on. Super important. Then you want to let your child pick books that are interesting to them. Now, a lot of kids in this range really like nonfiction books. Maybe they really love dinosaurs and they want to read as many dinosaur books as they can to get all this information. They like, boats, so they're reading all this information about boats, whatever it is they like. Also, my daughter, I know, loves poetry. We have Shel Silverstein collections that you can have them read or read to them. But especially fiction books are super popular in this age. So you can expose them to all different series of books. Just let them pick books, narrow down to the range where they should be reading, and let them pick the books that they want to read. Now, if they pick a book that you know is going to be too hard for them and they're going to struggle with it, that's a perfect book for you to read to them, or to read it together. You read a page, then have them try to read a page, and as you're going along, talk about the book, and if they struggle with a word, you can help them, what they can do to figure the word out. In this range, I know from experience, a lot of the kids that I can read books are good leveled books to have to pick out for kids to read. I know a lot of my students and my own children like the Elephant and Piggy books. Just bring them to the library, and they've seen lots of these books in school, so they know which ones that they're drawn to. And like I said, if your child picks out a book that they really want, and it's going to be too hard for them and they might struggle with it, that's a great book for a read aloud. At this age, it's super important that you are still reading out loud to them, even though they have begun to read on their own, because you want to model for them good fluency. Show them how you read with excitement in your voice, and we speak like the characters would say something. Also, that we're reading like we talk. We don't want to read like a robot, we say, or read like a race car too fast. So you can show them this good fluency and how readers should be reading. It's a great time to do that. Um, at this age, a lot of the series books that kids like are the Magic Tree House. When I taught first grade, they loved the Magic Tree House from kindergarten, and we would read those books in first grade. The Junie B. Jones books, Poppleton, Henry and Mudge. These are all books that are great for read alouds at this age. So you want to be reading or have your child reading for at least 20 minutes a day. Even in the summer months, right? Because they're not reading in school. So we want to make sure that they're still practicing, because we don't want their levels to be dropping over the summer. I notice a lot of times kids are not reading, or they're just reading their one summer reading book over the summer. They need to be reading every day. I tell my students they should try to read for at least 20 minutes a day. You can break it up, as you're just starting, maybe do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and it can be you reading aloud to them and them reading to you as well. I always tell my students that little brothers and sisters love when big brothers and sisters read to them. My daughter reads to my son all the time, and now he wants to go through his books and read them to her too. So these are all things that we can do. Now, if your child is struggling to get through 5-10 minutes of reading time, a lot of times I'll suggest to my kids to use what we call a stamina graph. So it's like, okay, today we're going to do 5 minutes, and you just put it on graph paper. I'm sure there's probably an app on your phone that you could find. And every day just try to increase it, maybe by a minute, maybe even by 30 seconds. And you want to celebrate those successes. Oh, we read together for 10 minutes. Look at the clock. We read together. Or, you sat down and found a comfy spot on the couch and read your book for 5 minutes on your own. That's great. So you want to celebrate these successes. And like I said, if you need any kind of assistance, figuring out your level of your child, figuring out books that would be great for them to read, I have lots of suggestions. So my summer program is helping to find levels of books, the interests of students, and also then narrowing down specifically, do they need to work on their engagement? Are they having trouble with that? Do they need to work on their fluency or their comprehension? So if anybody's interested, I would love to be of help. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Hope you have a great day.